help. I need to get rid of way more, but I'm stuck. So, have you ever gotten to this point in your own decluttering journey where you've started to declutter, you started to get rid of some things, you're like, there's too much stuff in my house. But now I feel like there's still way too much stuff. I can't, I'm not motivated, or I'm worried, or I'm fearful. Yeah, I want to talk about the three fears that are keeping us from letting go of more stuff, and then how to overcome those fears. I talk a lot about how to create a home that takes care of itself. Well, the fewer things that we have, then the fewer things that we need to take care of specifically. And so that is why I say decluttering is such a wonderful, wonderful place to start when we're trying to create a home that takes care of itself. Too much stuff comes into our lives because we're not sure what we need to keep and what we need to get rid of. So we just default to keeping all of it just in case. And then there comes a point when we kind of wake up and we're like, whoa, way too much stuff. I'm tired of taking care of all this stuff. Or there's a reason, like maybe we're getting ready to move to a smaller house into another town, and we're just like, we do not need to take all this stuff with us. Or maybe we're aware that the last time we moved, we have boxes that are unpacked still. So we start getting rid of things, and it's like we're getting rid of the low hanging fruit. And, it's easy to get rid of this because, it's baby clothes that are completely outgrown and there's no need for that. Our kids are 12 and 14 now, and we don't need 2-year-old clothes. And so we give that away, or we get rid of stuff that's very easy because we see that somebody else has a need. Oh, here, take this. I've got this. I don't need this. Or we get rid of stuff because we replace it with something better. Like, oh, I got a new bedroom set, so let me, donate my old one. Those are the easy ways to declutter. But there becomes a time when it gets hard and we get stuck. And I was, somebody asked this question. I need to get rid of way more, but I can't bring myself to do it. And some of the examples that she gave are books or toiletries or clothes or decorative items or entertaining items. So, what you want to realize is this: there are reasons why we cannot get rid of it. It's usually because we are coming at decluttering from a fear angle. So, number one, the fear of scarcity. We're afraid of scarcity. What if I need this? And that is a very, very valid question. What if you do need this? Because that thing was useful at one point, and who knows, it might be useful again. My favorite example of this is when I was talking with a client, and she had a really hard time letting go of towels. She had tons and tons of towels. She was older, tons, and she lived alone. So she was like, how many towels should I get? Should I have? And, my natural reaction would be to say, well, as many as you need, how many do you need? But that didn't seem to settle her, because she, in the back of her mind, was like, it's not just about me. It's what if there is a need for towels in the future? And I call this the Civil War mindset, like, what if there is a tragic accident and we need rags to take care of wounded people? You know, because that's where this is coming from, this idea of scarcity. What if I need this again? And there can be, our imaginations are creative enough that we can come up with a scenario where we might need all of the things. At least my imagination is creative enough. That is the fear of scarcity. Like, what if I do need this? Well, that is a terrible thing to ask, because there is a possibility that we could possibly need any and all of the things that we're taking care that are under our roof right now. Okay, so it's not good to argue with that. Just be aware of it. And then we're afraid of loss. Well, what if I regret getting rid of this? And there's a kernel of truth in that too. You might regret getting rid of it if you just haphazardly go in there and throw stuff away. This is why it's not great for other people to declutter for us. They have no idea about the things that we want to keep and the things that we don't. And we're afraid of making a mistake. What if I get rid of the wrong things? And this is again, we're just not certain that we can trust ourselves when we're making these decisions. And that is a big part of this fear of, am I making the right decision? And so that's why we then spend a lot of time going into the internets so that we can ask the questions like, how many towels do I need? What is a good number of books to keep in my library? How many dresses should I have? How many clothes should I have? We start asking the internet and all of its random wisdom, what's best for our life. And then we're dissatisfied with the answer, as we should be, because the answer is not personal to us. And that's because we're missing this piece where we trust ourselves. So all of this is just coming from a feeling of fear, which is why then you cannot bring yourself to declutter, to let go of anymore. And the way that you're decluttering is creating more fear in your brain. So the result is that the more you declutter, the more fear you will feel until there's just becomes a time when your brain's like, I can't take this anymore. We've got to stop letting go of stuff. And in fact, sometimes we just go so far, we let go of it and our brain is afraid and this starts bringing it all back in. That's not the place where we want to go. That's not the point of decluttering. That is counterproductive in our life. But successful decluttering happens because we desire something else, something different, or something more than the stuff. So this is how I would recommend that you declutter. Number one, get excited about what's going to happen when you are done decluttering. So this is looking at decluttering as a one and done project, which I think is a great way of looking at it. It's not something that we have to keep on doing. It's not something that it has to be done every few years or anything like that. No, one and done. Get excited about what happens when you are done decluttering. Why are you decluttering in the first place? Is it so that you can move into a smaller but better home? Is it so that you can have more space to enjoy or entertain in? Is it so that you have more time to do other things? What are your motivations? So when I started my decluttering journey, it was so that I would have more time to do other things. Specifically, I wanted more time to read. I'm a bookworm. That's what it is. It wasn't anything more exciting than that. But that created a standard in my mind of, would I rather be taking care of these things or would I rather be enjoying a new book? Would I rather be, dusting these knickknacks or would I rather be having a little more time to read? So you get excited. You picture what you want instead of the stuff. And then two, you're going to set a limit. How many books do you want to keep, for example? How many would fall in line with that new vision of your life after you're done decluttering? So like for me, even though I love to read, I don't want to take care of a vast library of books. In fact, it's so funny because I used to think that having a vast library of books, at one time I had over 500 books that I know of. And I thought that meant that, that showed that I am a reader. No, that showed that I was taking care of a lot of books and I had no time to read. So you don't have to keep the items. But on the other hand, there are certain ones that I want to keep. So for me, the general number is about 100, so they're usually books that, that they meant a lot to me. They are books that I would want to reread. I'm not quite sure the number. I just know that they fit on 2 bookcases. Anyway, that's what I want to take care of. So for years, I borrowed them from the library. Now I tend to buy them on Kindle. I let go of some as more are coming in. I only keep my favorites. Okay, so set a limit that fits in with that new vision of your life after you're done decluttering. For example, how many clothes do you see yourself having in the future? How many toiletries? Do all your toiletries fit into, maybe one drawer and one basket in your bathroom? Um, if you're talking about entertaining stuff in the entertaining items, like those special platters and bowls that, you only pull out for Thanksgiving or Christmas when company's around. One shelf, two shelves. Okay. Decide on a limit. And then step 3 is to simply choose your favorites. So we're going to stop looking for things that we can let go of that won't cause us too much fear to let go of. And instead, we're going to go to the pleasure side of this. So instead of the fear side, we're going to go to the pleasure side. We're going to gather all those items together. And then you're going to pretend that you're having a giant shopping spree of your own stuff. It's like you're a newlywed registering for new stuff, but the store is your own house and it's your stuff. And you're re-choosing again which ones are actually your favorites. By the way, this is so much easier this time because, when you're a newlywed, you have no idea what you need to register for. And so you're just registering for everything, scanning everything. And then people buy stuff. And then you end up, having, fancy roasting pans, but you don't have a basic casserole dish. Oh, it's so funny. So I'm going to keep my favorites. I'm going to keep my 100 favorite books. So I just start counting 1, 2, 3. Oh, I love this book. This process is so much fun because you are reconnecting with your most favorite, most useful things. And ironically, you're also building trust in yourself that you know what you want. So if you're doing it this way, it's literally you're telling your brain, hey, I kept my favorites. Everything that I'm letting go of is not as important as my new goal of having a space that I enjoy, a place where I can entertain, or a home that's easy to maintain so I can do other things with my time. You are showing your brain that you have plenty. It's not scarcity, it's bringing it to abundance. You are not making the mistake because your favorites are your favorites. You trust yourself on this. Trust yourself that you know your favorites. Don't look at your items. When you go into your clothes closet, don't be looking at and saying, well, I spent a lot of money on that. Yes, but if you never wear it, there's a reason why. So either start wearing it and enjoying it, or be honest with yourself. Learn the lesson of why is this actually not my favorite? Why do I still go to this ratty old sweatshirt time and time again instead of the nice cardigan sweater that costs 4 times as much? Trust your favorites. Be true to who you are, because that is the way that we overcome this fear of making mistakes, is by trusting ourselves to do what's best for us, do what's best for our family. Decluttering is 100 times easier, 100 times at least, when we focus on what we want to keep rather than what we have to give up. It's kind of like, if you've never read it, it's a great book. It's called The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And they say when we're going after a goal, there's the starting point and then there's the end point, and we kind of get midway and we get frustrated and we want to give up. And the reason we want to give up is because we're looking backwards at the gap. Excuse me. We're looking forward at the gain, at the gap between where we are and where we want to be. I described that wrong. So we're looking at the gap, like, oh, I'm not there yet. And it's discouraging and it causes discontent. And then we, feel like we're still lacking and then we want to give up. But if we look instead with gratitude at what we've gained, at the progress we're making, then we feel motivated, we feel inspired, we feel encouraged to keep on going. So the same thing with our stuff in decluttering, but it's just slightly in reverse. Instead of focusing on what you need to give up, you're going to focus on what you're going to keep for the next stage of your life. Don't focus on what you're giving up. Focus on what you're gaining and will gain on the other side of this decluttering journey. All right. I hope this has helped you understand why Even though you feel like you need to get rid of way more stuff, you might have gotten stuck. It's because you were decluttering from fear and trying to let go of the low hanging fruit instead of focusing on what is it I want to keep and letting go of everything else that doesn't hit that standard, that higher standard in your life. That's what we're talking about. All right. So get excited about what happens when you're done decluttering. Number one. Two, set a limit. And then three, shop your favorites. Choose your favorites. Go on a shopping spree of your own stuff. I hope this has helped. If you have any decluttering questions, or if you have any questions about life and love and living a life of confidence, feel free to message me, and I might address that in another podcast episode. Don't worry, I'll keep all the details private, but maybe your question can help somebody else. All right, this has been fun. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.